Hi, I'm Helene Couvrette. I'm a certified yoga therapist and I'm a yoga educator. I see people privately and I'm doing that online. If you have a desire to see me about an issue that needs a little bit more care, you can still reach out to me, h-om at homyogacenter.com. It's ER at the end of center, or www.homyogacenter.com is the website. I'm going to show a very quick little synopsis on how you might help bring some awareness to how your back can be helped through movement. Often we're not aware of how we move, and I have this little video I'm going to put together right now for you. So if you have a sore back, I'm inviting you to stay tuned. It's not going to be long, and hopefully it'll help you learn how you can bend forward in a very less stressful way. And so I'm going to stand up and back up on you, and what I'm going to show is how we often bend. So often what happens is we've been told use your knees, so you bend the knees, but you're still going to bend right about here. And this is usually right about where the pain happens for most people. So I'm going to show you a different option, and I'm inviting you to try it and see how it feels. Because if you don't try it, you don't experience it, you really don't see the difference. It might just be intellectually like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But get up and try to really notice the difference. And even if you don't, for whatever reason, you're sitting cozy and you just happen to come on this little video, you'll still be able to notice in my body intuitively how one way of moving might be more stressful on my low back than another. So if I do, even if I bend my knees, but I bend right here, and often people think that that's, this rolling up and the rolling down is a nice feeling, and if you don't have pain, it can be. But it's not here that the hips are. We think of the hips, really the hip joint is here, but that's not the hip joint. The leg where it enters the hip is the hip joint. And this low back, this lumbar region and towards the sacrum, so the bone that's triangular here and the spine coming into it, that area is the most tender area, and that's not really where we want to put the force of going down and coming up. Right? So you can see that this is definitely what's holding me is here, and as I come up right now, this is what's holding me. So another option, which is the way I always teach, is instead to, yes, of course, bend the knees, but more so, push those hips back. And the hips, the hip joint here where the pants wrinkle up, not my lounge pants, I'm convinced in yoga and isolated times to stay in some lounge and half pajama wear. So if I take my fingers up my leg and push where that joint is, where the pants wrinkle, or I could also think of pulling sit bones back, or I can think of this top hip bone, I call it the banging the counter hip bone. You take that forward. It all is the same action. I'm bending here, pulling this up, and taking the top of the front hip down. And if you notice now, my upper back is actually, lower back, sorry, is quite flat. So I'm going to keep doing that. And then come up. If you notice, my knees are actually bending a bit more, and then I come up and I'm just using legs. Right? So I'm not straining this part. So what I'm doing is I'm bending knees, and I'm thinking of increasing this crease, pulling my sit bones, taking the top hip down, keeping that lower back nice and flat. And then to come up, I think of this part just under my collarbone, and I'm going to come bending the knees more and lifting from there. So the whole time, my back is actually straight. If you notice, if I have my hands between here and here, if I bend and push back with hips, I'm not really changing anything in the back. Right? So I'm swinging my hips back, bending my knees, swinging my chest up. So to come down, this is going back. To come up, my heart is bringing me up. Don't be afraid to bend those knees and use the hips to go back and forth and the legs to come up. So knees, hips go back, knees go forward, heart comes up, and I'm using legs. And so hopefully you can practice that a little bit and get a feel for it, and that it helps you get a feel for how to maybe bend forward in a more accessible way for your back without straining it. I could have done that back and forth a long time, but if I bend from that low back, it hurts even after a few times. So I hope that's helpful for you and that you use that and can benefit from it, and check out all the other videos. I have a YouTube channel, Helene Couvrette, at Helene Couvrette H-OM Yoga Center. So I'm putting these together a little bit at a time, and again, I'm available if you have bigger issues and really want to see me privately. I can do it virtually on a number of ways that's very accessible, even if you're not tech savvy. So reach out, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.